Well, good morning. Good morning, Benjamin Nakapo.
Good morning. I merely played, or should I play the Ghanaian thing and go that, why are you in black? I get it all the time. Black is one of my, the other day on social media, someone gave me, you like dark colors, or it's in my sister kakra, because.
So that's why you're wearing white.
Oh, you've not noticed, I've been doing white and stuff for a while.
Well, I love black. I love black, but we can't always wear black, I guess, because of what we do. But
let me ask you this.
Yeah?
How do you feel if yesterday I wanted to make this point. I don't like adding dread to locks because apparently it has a certain negative connotation to it.
Dread,
back then, from the days when, some of our ancestors were in the slave ships and being carried, and because they were not combing their hair started getting all natty, and so they called them dreadlocks, giving the intention of dreadfulness. So dreadful locks.
Okay.
So I like referring to them simply as locks.
okay.
How do you feel if I locked, unfortunately my hair, I don't know how well that would go. I can grow it appreciably, but if I locked my beard, for example.
If you lock your beard?
Yes, if I
that
locked my
beard. That would be weird.
People lock their beards. A lot of these.
Yeah, but I'm looking at you and...
lock the beard.
If you locked your beard to be on the show, to be my colleague,
yes.
how would I feel about it?
How do you feel about it? Honestly.
As in, locking your beard, there's some way.
Okay, so what if I did it on my head?
Oh, if that's what you want, go for it. But it's got to look good on you. Yeah, because you're my colleague. So if it doesn't, I'm afraid I'll have to tell you.
Yeah. Yours looks amazing. So, we would have locked up the entire situation.
Mine is not the dread. Mine is the sister.
But for me, the value is practically the same. It's one or the other.
This issue with the Achimota school, it's been dragging. Well, it looks like the school has taken a position because in view of that directive, they still insist that no. In the meeting yesterday, and this is the father of one of the boys speaking, where there was representative of the Ghana Education Service, there was management of the school, and then the parents. And the school said that they still insisted that the boys should cut the lock. So.
And this was after the GES itself had backtracked.
Exactly. So this is why. So apparently they read the directive from the school's directive and the GES directive, and the conclusion was they still insist on the locks going off before they come to school. What's also interesting is the fact that the boys are not going to be there admitted. They're not going to be in boarding school because what they've chosen is to be day students.
Right.
Yeah. Well.
It's a very interesting...
So this is where I know that you're having a conversation on that. Thankfully, there are some old boys or one big old boy who's joining. So it'll be interesting to know what the old student of Achimota themselves are thinking about this matter.
Think about it. But I think it's important right now that it's come to the fore because not just in our educational institutions, at workplaces.
Oh, yeah.
Prominent people tell me in confidence that, just in conversation, would you hire someone with locks no matter how neatly they kept them and all that? I'm like, well, maybe I wouldn't have had a problem, but there are so many societal this and that, and so to avoid all of that, I wouldn't. And you ask yourself, okay,
I actually know someone who couldn't get a formal job because of his hair. Yeah. In Ghana.
Okay. So this morning we're digging into those issues. Yesterday I just put up a message on social media asking people how they would feel if I locked up my beard.
That's what your beard did, Charlie.
You wouldn't believe some of the things. But why is it different with the beard? Why is it different?
I don't know, that would be weird, Charlie. If it's on your hair and it looks good, like you look good in it, yeah, the girls will love you more.
Oh, I will look good. Oh, just the girls?
Yeah, the girls will love you more. Damn, yeah,
okay.
They will.
All right.
I can promise you that, but you still have to have a lot of cash.
But the guys.
For them to stay.
Are you? Because it's not just the hair.
No.
Okay, so let's dig into the papers this morning. Which ones do you have?
The Ghanaian Times, and two tragic stories on the front page just caught my attention. So I'll do the Times, the Daily Statesman, the Daily Dispatch, and the Finder newspaper. Okay,
I have here the Daily Graphic, the Daily Guide, and the Business and Financial Times. Let's start with you, Mark.
Oh, so tragedy at Anyomaso Bibre. Maybe I hope that I got the name right. But the story is that there's a father and the son and two others who were electrocuted as scaffold touches power lines. Also, 3 students on motorbike killed in accident at Adeso. And this story that we've been sharing with you, Achimota School rejects GS order to admit 2 Rastafarian students. Safeguard water resources to help achieve SDGs on water sanitation for all. UN urges nations. Straight up to page 18 on this story of the father and son. It says 4 persons died last Sunday. This is a community in the Ashanti region. It's near Ejuso in the Ashanti region, where these 4 persons were electrocuted. There's a carpenter, a father, and his son, and 1 other. They were said to have raised a scaffolding pole to begin work on a 3-story building. According to an eyewitness, a part of the scaffold metal accidentally touched power lines, leading to the electrocution, which resulted in their death. Personnel of the Ghana Police Service and Ghana National Fire Service later arrived at the scene to lead the rescue efforts. And this reminds me, one of the updates that we're sharing with you here on the AM show is the Pokwase interchange. What is left for them to complete is the 4-tier. They've done pretty much half of that 4-tier. The rest of it, there is a power line very close to where they will cast the concrete to complete that 4-tier. And when we get to that point, the contractors are asking Gridco to put power off for a number of hours on 2 different occasions. So it's important, if you're doing something near a power line, there shouldn't be power in that line. I guess that's what happened in this instance. And you'd see the insets on page 18. This story building is so close to the pole with the scaffold in the middle of it. And this is disaster. But you don't do anything like this by yourself. You have to get electricity power company to be involved if you're going to be touching their power lines or doing anything very close to it. It's always dangerous. But that's the Pokwase interchange story that we'll be sharing with you, the updates. And have you also wondered, we call it Pokwase interchange, but how about we got a different name for it? And apparently there's, the traditional people are coming up with different names, suggesting names, but it's not up to the contractor to name it. It will be the Ghana Highways Authorities. But this place is in between AMA. There's also West, where I come from. And then I think there's another municipality.
You come from far away. It might be
3 municipalities in one. It will be interesting what name they would agree on. Yeah. Okay, what's other?
I like the smile on your face, though, as you talk about it, because you're personally impacted.
Oh, yeah. Aren't you? That's my... It takes a shorter time now to come to work, even in the morning. I can do like 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
Right, so imagine when it's complete.
Oh, yeah. No, but it will still not be such a big relief because the traffic will just push to Amasaman. We need that contractor must start working, open that up. Otherwise,
and then you'll feel the flow.
Yeah.
Right.
But I like very much the fact that they've done a lot of access roads, so you can go through. If you choose not to use the main interchange, you can still go around it. I like that. On page 3, there's an update on Dr. Opuni's case. Court orders prosecution to produce documents. This is the Accra High Court yesterday asking a witness in the case in which Dr. Stephen Opuni, a former chief executive of Ghana Cocoa Board, and 1 other are standing trial for alleged stealing and procurement breaches in a fertilizer deal to produce some documents he investigated. So the documents are receipts and invoices for the renewal of Lithovit fertilizer covering the year 2014 to 2018. 18. If you're interested, you can grab the paper and read on. Police grab man over death of 30-year-old man. A man has been arrested by the police for his alleged involvement in lynching a 30-year-old man at Teshi in Accra. The suspect, Clement Goli, and other accomplices were reported to have lynched their victim. So this is Accra Police PRO speaking to the Ghanaian Times yesterday, where she stated that the suspect was in custody assisting in investigations. And finally, one more story on page 3. 2 arrested over illegal demolition at Achimota. 2 pastors have been arrested by the police for allegedly masterminding an illegal demolition of properties of squatters at Achimota in Accra. Apostle Emmanuel Kwejo Buama and Reverend George Ohenia J, both of the True Israel Christian Church at Achimota in Accra, are in the custody of the police assisting in investigations. So those are some crime-related stories. On the back page, industry players support sanitation tax. Make sign language examinable in health training institutions. That's a very good call. So this is the Upper East Region, regional branch of the Ghana Federation of Disability Organization, calling on government to, as a matter of urgency, make the sign language examinable in all the health training institutions across the country. The group, who made the call at a regional policy dialogue forum organized by Action Aid Ghana and Bogatanga on a Monday, also proposed to the government to recruit sign language interpreters as a short-term measure for all health facilities in the country, while it made the sign language examination a long-term measure. Have you ever thought for a minute, for persons who cannot communicate but use sign language, if they happen to have an emergency and they go to the facility where we all go to and it's easy for us to communicate, ever thought, you know, whilst they're struggling, they're trying to communicate and nobody can read the sign language, nobody can understand them? Yeah, we pay
Would
very
be pretty
little
frustrating.
attention. Yeah, absolutely.
Very frustrating.
Okay, Ben, that's it for the Ghanaian Times. There are other stories that our viewers can grab and explore.
Especially for those who maybe have issues with hearing. Have you ever thought of how sometimes they can still perceive music and dance to it?
No, actually.
So I found out yesterday that for some of them, they perceive it through their feet.
Ooh.
The vibration of whatever. So the speakers, they feel it. You've not taken time to, yes. So when music is playing, especially if your feet are, you know, in slippers or something, it's pretty close to it. And you can feel the vibrations. And that's how they can actually end up dancing to. I'm talking about someone who may be deaf or maybe even deaf.
That's interesting.
Mute. I found out only yesterday, and it got me thinking.
Because I would usually use the beats.
Yeah. But if you're not hearing it, how can you perceive? And that also reminds me of elephants. Actually, elephants can pick up the sound of rain, and it's through their feet as well. Yeah. So I wasn't surprised. I could see the linkage. But let's get into the daily graphic. Achimota School locks. I'm not going to say the first part. Brouhaha. Cut hair, conform to rules. School authorities and say. So the latest as we know it, the debate has continued at a meeting with the management of the GS, the headmistress of the school. You made mention of that meeting, Mrs. Marjorie Afenyi, and the parents of one of the students in Accra yesterday. The headmistress maintained that the students had not been denied admission to the school. Rather, the decision was for them to cut their locks in conformity with the school's rules. So their admission stands, but the point is, if you want to continue, you have to conform to the school's rules. And we also know that the next step for one of the parents, at least, is to take the matter to court. Quoting there, the next step is to take it to court, and there's no question about that. We're trying to find another school now for him, he said, adding that I was shocked at the decision of the GES today after last Friday's directive. Now, the Accra, the old Achimota Association, has also waded into this. We've all seen their statement, and they say, we are concerned about the action taken by the Director General and have therefore requested that he rescind the directive. And indeed, the GES has backtracked on its position. We also heard from Mr. Angel Kabonu, who did not mince words and said that, well, that would create some sort of chaos. And if that's what the court would rule for, then there would be all kinds of chaos from the teaching end as well. But tied to that, I'm sure you've heard of Rodney Nkrumah, MP at large. He writes a lot, and he has something tied to
Isn't he still with the Education Ministry, or he's no longer there?
Well, I'm not certain yet, but he says he has an opinion piece on page 10, Achimota debacle. And where I'm going to highlight, well, he talks about rights versus rules, balancing the act. These two portions, very briefly, are reality. The reality is that our society continues to evolve and get more complex in its diversity and outlook. What was fashionable or permissible a few decades ago may no longer be the case. And in my view, it is unreasonable to expect our SHS landscape to look or feel the same way as it did 40 or 50 years ago. I mean, back then we were using guarantee and all of that. I didn't come to use guarantee, but people did. We had the flared up trousers. It faded out, and now if you used it, you would look a bit off. Though the bulging ends came up, the bells and all of that came up at a point. And he says, I do not think the way forward is to throw the rule book away and allow a free fall of clothing, hairstyle, and every other aspect that has been in place for all this while. They have served a useful purpose, but he also says that there are certain things we could look at. So interesting perspectives there, and we shall get into more of that on the show this morning. Mama V, in Congo, I'll tell you what, one thing more important than putting yourself forward for a presidential election and maybe even winning it is to stay alive and actually find out what happened in the polls. Now, in Congo, the leading opposition presidential candidate in the Republic of Congo's election, Gibrice Parfait Kolila, died yesterday, a day after the country went to the polls. So he did everything. Final day, polling, and unfortunate, tragic, I should say.
They said COVID-related complications. You know, the thing that COVID can do to you after you recover.
In just a few, a short space of time.
Yeah. I listened to that story, and I was really, really sad. Really, really sad. Yeah.
So that's a really, and our condolences to all Congolese. Tunisia launches first satellite. It's a small step for aerospace, but a leap for Tunisia as it launched its first satellite manufactured locally last Sunday. And stories like this give me hope. Was it this? I think it was it last night? I think it was this morning, rather. I was listening to Pastor Ato Aqua, and he was talking about how sometimes we denigrate everything African to the point where we don't want to see any good coming from here. I remember Rwanda on the educational front, I think last year, launched a satellite of sorts. And here we see Tunisia doing same. So, giant step. When will Ghana get there?
We've done a few things. There's a university in Koforidua.
Yes, I think that was also last year or a year and a half.
We've done some things that I guess we have to be given updates to our viewers so that we can also appreciate the little steps that we've been making. I think All Nations University, yes. I remember talking about it here on the show. Yeah.
There's on page 7, this morning I'm singling out some of the matters that we don't usually get into. Kayaye, deep night to see their plight. You should just check that. It's an opinion piece on page 7. But in the day we see what we choose to. At night, their ordeals, the things they go through. A lot of them, you would see them with the children, all of that. Some of them are raped. They are forced to pay certain sums. And where are they sleeping? By gutters and the rest. And we practically pretend those things don't happen. Social systems in Ghana, I'm sorry, are piss poor. And we just pretend these people don't even, we marginalize them to the point where even they feel they are just outcasts. Third wave will wash up on our shores once UK PM. That's on page 9. Here too, I hear there are threats of a third wave of sorts. And then on page 13, campaign to end period poverty launched under the Sister to Sister initiative. And
menstrual period.
Exactly. I have a friend who is always posting about not taxing our periods and all of that. It would shock you to know that, especially when it comes to the educational front, a lot of girls don't go to school around that time of the month because they don't have
the sanitary pads.
The sanitary pads and all of that. So,
it's not cheap, things. You know.
It isn't.
It's not. And if all you have is what to buy food, and you have to spend some buying sanitary pads,
right?
Then
you
that's when
see
you
the
feel,
reality
yeah.
of it. If you're earning about 5 cedis, 6 cedis a day, consider the woman selling sachet water and the rest. What is her profit? To talk of how much is she going to spend on the sanitary pads?
Yeah.
And I'll wrap up with pages 24 on the back page. Tracker for COVID-19 response funds launched. I think this is really important, Mama, because we need to track where all this funding is going. And a team of independent, that's what I like most about it, independent tech organizations have launched a project to monitor how the government and its agencies have expended funds allocated for the country's COVID-19 response programs in a bid to ensure transparency and accountability. You know, recently there was talk about we've spent this much on COVID-19. We've done this, we've done that. What that we had systems even before to have checked and brought to bear accountability. What's it was spending 2 cedis? Is that really the case?
And especially when we're being taxed because government says that they spend so much on COVID. So we need to pay more so that we can pay our debts related to COVID. Yes, I like this very much. Unfortunately, I hope that it doesn't become, this so-called independent body, this person belongs here, this person belongs here. So they've got personal interest and that's why they're doing this.
Hopefully the independents would not turn out to be not so independent.
So you see, that's the thing. Even if they belong to a certain group, I mean, we all vote, don't we? Even if they belong to a certain group, can we focus on the work?
You can belong. Come to think of it. I mean, let's be.
We're going to trivialize
a lot of these people in office, technocrats and the rest, they belong to different ends of the divide. Yeah. One thing I always say, wherever you go, church, here, in this environment, you get people, especially with our very two-lane kind of political system. You get people from this end and that end, MPP and NDC. But the point is, wherever they are on the political spectrum, are they doing what they are supposed to do?
Yeah.
Can they do it? Are they being efficient and effective? If they are, it doesn't really matter which side of the
Unfortunately, when they try to do some objective work, some people will begin to read into it and bring all sorts of things out. But sometimes some of these persons also give them cause to question them.
Yeah.
But let's do the final newspaper, front page of the final. Tema Port exceeds cargo and container traffic by 5.9%. Assets of banks hits 152 billion Ghana cedis, while deposits rise to 104 billion Ghana cedis, according to the Bank of Ghana. And about 50% of SHS1 students yet to register, according to senior high school heads. And then on Galamsey reverses water quality gains, there's a... is this Cecilia Abenadapa, the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources? I don't...
Can I have a look?
Because... is that her?
Yeah, it looks like her.
Oh, she's changed
Slightly different, but it does look like her.
So if you look at the difference from 57.8% in 2019 to 56.6% in 2020, I was just thinking that the laughter or the smile does not go with this. This is very small difference. But we're told that government has injected $1 billion into 6 rural water projects. So that's a good thing. But I don't think from 57.8 to 56.6 is such a big gain for us to be jubilating. We've made a big mess and we need to recover real quick.
I think that analogy with the smile, it's reflective of our system, isn't it? We get very little and we're told it is gargantuan. That has always been our system.
But to be fair, I don't think that the paper has not said that she was smiling to this statistic. So exactly. No, I mean, we're also not wrong because that's the interpretation that we're putting to it. And I guess
this may not even be tied to the event.
Absolutely.
Or the entire statistics.
Yeah. Okay, this was in our news. Bagbin explains delay in appointing Parliamentary Service Board. He said that if they fail to do it, then he's going to do it. Arocha Ghana reiterates Ghana's lost forest restoration plan. And there's another angle to the opening trial. You can catch up in the final newspaper.
Right. Let's check out some more details. And the Daily Guide is my next paper. Some of the headlines, though: alarm blows over fictitious court records, and this is something that we've been talking about in recent times. You remember that interaction with the Attorney General and the Chief Justice? Opuni investigator clashes with Agongo lawyer. Court convicts Okuapehene Abriwetia for contempt, and then killer husband denied bail. Well, I thought there was talk about his getting bail, but now it appears, there are these issues of non-bailable offenses and what the law has said and all of that. Well, it appears for him it's not going to be a bail situation. But on page 6, what I want to highlight here, the bit about the court convicting the Okuapehene Abriwetia for contempt. Ekofredia High Court in the Eastern Region has convicted the Okuapehene of Ekropon Ekuapem, Odeshia Kwejo Kese, and Abriwetia Lily Ajiman for contempt of court. The court, presided over by Justice Doris Dabanka Bekwe, after holding that the two were guilty of contempt, fined them an amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis each, and they risk spending 14 days in prison if they are unable to pay. And it followed a suit filed by Nanefia Inketia Oboa II, among others, against the contemners for blatantly ignoring the judgment of the Judicial Council. I'm just trying, Mama, to get the backstory to this event. It has to do with one of these installation challenges. So the committee on April 30, 2020, in its judgment, nullified the nomination, selection, and installment of Odesha Kwesi Kufu as the Okuapehene on grounds that the processes leading to his installation were not carried out in accordance with custom, hence they were now void. I think I saw pictures, something like that, with regard to this incident, and that's what drew my attention to it. But that's what I'll focus on when it comes to the Daily Guide newspaper. Your favorite page is also here, Mama.
The center spread.
The international
entertainment page?
Yes. Maybe the one I could highlight, Kanye West not richest black American. You saw that release from Forbes, right? In recent times, before Forbes came out, there was this 6.6 billion thing going around. And Forbes has come to say the highest he is worth is 1.8 billion. Nothing close to that. And that the richest
Kanye couldn't be the richest.
Kanye couldn't
black,
be the richest.
No.
I mean, he is just about halfway towards what even Oprah Winfrey has.
Remember that he's also going through a divorce, right?
No, but apparently, from what we hear, the prenuptials contain clauses that, both of them were wealthy coming together already. So I hear they have very tight prenuptial agreements. And so, yes, a pretty okay, baby.
Nice.
Baby. Not too much about, I'm getting this. It's not like the Scott McKenzie issue, Jeff Bezos' wife. Charlie, she walked away very wealthy woman.
She recently got married again? Like, was it? She announced engagement with somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah, she's moved on.
I think he's a teacher also.
She's moved on. Yeah.
But she's one of those who have committed to give out most of her wealth. I don't know, before death.
If we made it together, if I was with you and you made it.
Is it Warren Buffett? Is it Bill and Melinda Gates? All of those, that's squad. Saying that all our wealth, we'll give it away.
They give so much away anyway. Okay, do we have time to do my John line, or I go through the Daily Dispatch? It says NDC will find it tough without John Mahama in 2024 elections. And there's is it a rejoinder, a response? Missing vehicles and national security. Colonel Opoku did no wrong.
And that's on the back of the EIU saying that 2024 will go the way of the NDC.
Yeah. Right? In SMP. So if you want to enjoy those analyses, there's also one in the Daily Statesman that says Mahama not 2024 choice of Ghanaians. Another survey shows. So you can battle it out and see the angles. Yeah. See, we're in 2021. We're thinking 2024. We told you. And we're thinking 2024 not in terms of developments, infrastructural development, either in health or sanitation. It's in the politics. Yeah. Did you just come to Ghana? Welcome to Ghana. All right, you're watching the AM show. We've got interesting conversations coming up. One is the updates that I did on the Pokwasi interchange. If that's your route, if Awoshi, thereabouts is your route, or Kwabenya, or Amasaman, Kutunse, then you've got to stay for these updates. Finally, we have a date for the interchange to be completed, and I have that exclusive, so you've got to stay and watch. But we also have that conversation on the parents, the Rastafarian parents, their children, the GES and Achimota School. But I guess most critical is these two brilliant boys who have been denied access to education at Achimota School. Where are we with that matter? Ben will give all the update after sport. Stay with us.